Hey, investors and improvers. We are back with another episode on mistaken evaluations. When you think about different personalities, one common way to evaluate people and yourself is through their behavior and actions or lack thereof. Specifically, let's compare two types of people. One who is decisive, they know what they want, and so they say no often to maintain focus on their chosen direction. Take another individual who has the whatever happens, happens attitude. You probably know people who fit into these categories and can visualize their mannerisms and tendencies. My question to you is, are these two people opposites? Off the cuff, you may say yes. One comes across as rigid because their clarity towards direction is fixed. The other comes off as loose and carefree. But I'm going to argue that they can often be the exact same person. How? Because the analysis or description of each person above was not based on the same factors. The first person we described based on their actions, their inputs. The second person we described based on their outcomes and how they responded to them. We did not compare them at the same point in time. Balancing these two people, both of which we can have within us, is a dance, but it's a vital dance. How we act and decide our inputs does not have to be how we interpret our outputs. One can take meticulous action, carefully plan, and precisely execute, but have the awareness to realize no outcome is ever guaranteed, i.e., whatever happens, happens. If the outcome isn't what you wanted, you go back to the drawing board and carve out new inputs to hopefully get new outputs. You can holster both of these perspectives because they deal in different points of time. The advantages of being both the meticulous and decisive action taker and the lightly held outcomes viewer is that you are operating in a more real sense of how things work. You can be both decisive and know where you are heading, but at the same time recognize that outcomes are like a box of chocolates. As the old cliche goes, you never know what you are going to get. You can control inputs, and so you should. You can't control outputs, and so you shouldn't be burdened by them. Well, of course, that's easier said than done. My point in writing this is not even to say that one should adopt this dual perspective on inputs and outputs. My main point is to think about the things we so often label as opposites that are just not so. That we are failing to evaluate on an even and level playing field. We compare and contrast identities, characteristics, attributes of people, success, and whatever else we come across. But how often are we truly gauging them on the same metric? In the above example, I got you to think about how you view the rigid person versus the seemingly carefree person. But we assess the rigid person based on his inputs, what he did, and how he made his decisions. And we evaluated the carefree person based on how they responded to outcomes. All the while, both behaviors could coincide within the same person, about the same things, and both have positive utility that actually aid each other. Can you think of other areas where we make this similar mistake, where we draw conclusions about what is different or opposite, but in actuality are not mutually exclusive? Better yet, can you find these areas where the seemingly opposite attributes are actually both better off for coexisting?